Good morning, GM. What's up, guys? Welcome to OrdinalRevolution presents Kimi and Frens Bitcoin Ordinal Builders. Good, thank you for joining us today. We have an amazing show. We have some amazing builders today. Really appreciate everyone watching, listening. We're also live streaming on YouTube, so if you can't listen here, that's will be a place you can go back to later and watch it there, because sometimes X is a little hard. So we're going to put it over there as well. I also have it on Apple and YouTube podcast stations as well. So if you guys ever want to listen to it during the week, it'll be there. So every Saturday morning, our friend Kimi puts together something really special, and me and Yagobi, we really hammer it out like always. We're putting out YouTube videos. We put out 11 videos last week. We are just trying to give you guys as much content as humanly possible. So yeah, let's dig in. Every Saturday morning, I usually give a quick update on the markets while we wait for people to get in here. So we got Ordi sitting at around $3.69. We got everyone's favorite meme on Bitcoin sitting at 0.000357. That is Sats. And then we have Track, one of my favorite tokens, sitting at 34 cents. And then we have the Council token sitting at $67. We got Oshi. They're having some issues over there, but back up to $315. Let's jump through. MXRC from Good. I'm a huge fan of what Good's doing, but the token's getting hammered, sitting at 5.5 sats. Curious of when that art will be dropping. That should be something exciting. Let's jump over to Magic Eden. Nothing really going on with the BRC20s. Let me give it a quick refresh here, get you guys the freshest prices. So we got Ordinal Maxi Biz sitting at 0.23, been sitting around there for a long time. Bitmap sitting at 0.00023. If you wanted let me see categories. If you wanted a 1-digit bitmap, you'll be paying around 3 Bitcoin. If you wanted the 2-digit bitmap, you'll be paying about 0.088 Bitcoin. If you wanted a 3-digit bitmap, you're paying around 0.019. If you wanted a 4-digit bitmap, you'll be paying around 0.0038. If you wanted a 5-digit bitmap, you're paying around 0.00041. Let's jump over to some of the ones and we're looking at the last 7 days. Ordinal Punk sitting at 3.15 Bitcoin. The DeGods are back in the top 12, sitting at 0.4. Bitcoin Frogs get hit this week, sitting at 0.0021. The Bit Apes by Bored Ape Yacht Club members sitting at 0.005. Seize Control sitting at 0.15. Bitcoin Punk sitting at 0.0165. UF Bros, a new project that just launched this week, sitting at 0.0075. Uncommon Patterns by Nolish sitting at 0.47. I think this is something new that just dropped. Definitely want to look into that. Osh Cash, Osh, the or Cash token sitting at 0.0028. That got hit this week just along with BRC 20s. 509 Boys sitting at 0.0027. And that is your Saturday morning update. Let me throw it over to my co-host, as always, Mr. Iago B. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Hope everybody is doing great this morning or evening, depending on where you are. Man, we got a great lineup today. So if you could, just in that bottom right, hit that bubble, that chat bubble, and retweet this space so we can get some good conversation going and as many people in here as we can to kind of educate as well. I also want to welcome Kimi kind of back. He's been a little bit out doing some in real life stuff, handling some stuff. So yeah, I mean, like I said, great lineup. We have Moral up here. I know you've been in the spaces recently with all the rune talk and then kind of wanted your perspective on what you thought. We got Jeff from Recursive Verse. We got Jay Lee from Bison Labs. We got Bavo with the Bit Pets. Definitely want to hear a little bit about that and what that's turning, how that project's starting to kind of branch out. And we also have Danny from Vampires. I'm interested to hear about what's going on with the project. They did have a launch not too long ago. So go ahead, Jeff.
Just trying to add something to what she said about the BRC20. The stats listed supply percentage is the lowest in history. Right now is 0.21% of sets are listed. So every time it's like getting less and less, the price goes up. Every time it gets higher, the price goes down. How does it work, right? And the gas fee on chain right now is 3 sats. So everybody goes there and try to make some, shitcoin. I don't know. I buy lots of BMAT like today. Yeah, that's it.
Nice. Yeah. So the percentage is, I guess, listed is at its lowest, which means that people don't want to sell. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, 100%.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I think maybe a lot of people are waiting for the swaps and to see kind of how that plays out, right? Because right now it's a really exciting time. I know there hasn't been a ton of public discussion about the swaps that are in testnet right now, but Unisat has their swap in testnet, and then of course Jay Lee and Bison Labs, they've been working hard behind the scenes, and we've all if you've been involved with that, then you've been into their test net, and it's been really smooth, I'll tell you that. So yeah, it's, a lot of excitement right now with some new ideas that have kind of creeped into the space. So I kind of want to go to Kimi because he's been a little bit out of the loop, like I said, handling some in real life stuff, but then he came back a couple of days ago. So Kimi, have you had a chance to kind of catch up on all this stuff that's been happening in the token space?
Hi. Yes and no. I just look at it I don't know, on the surface. I saw inscription number problem and this rune protocol and stuff like that. I didn't explore deeply into that, but I don't know. It's fun in this space at the moment, I see, but I'm missing the fun.
Gotcha. Yeah. There's definitely been, a lot of, I guess, ideas and in a way, it's kind of like a start to innovation. And I think I've personally, along with Shisley, actually, have had a lot of conversations with different people in the space. That's kind of made me open my mind a bit more. And I think that's important to at least like hear different perspectives, right? And so, we had CB Spears on last night on the show, and he definitely kind of made me just open. I still feel pretty strong in terms of the ordinal token protocols being, having the most of the market share, but it did definitely make me kind of open my mind to different perspectives and maybe show a little bit more empathy towards certain situations, because it definitely made me understand a bit more from even where Casey might be coming from, and other people as well. So with that being said, I want to kind of pass it over to Moral, because like I said, I've seen him kind of jumping into spaces right whenever this was starting. He's always in multiple spaces trying to learn as much as possible. So Moral, what's your perspective on all this in terms of Casey coming and bringing this new idea? I know you're a little bit more on the art side, I believe, but you have been in those spaces. So just curious of what you think.
Yeah, honestly, it's been tricky for me to be able to kind of formulate my own opinion, because there's so many different takes. But I think overall, the fact that he's here and, stirring conversation, I think it's good for the space in general, just for development reasons. I think the more attention we get in the space, kind of it moves along. But as in terms of like having an opinion or a take myself, I can't really give you one, man. I'm kind of just trying to learn as I go as well. So it's difficult for me to be like, yeah, this is the right way, or oh, I don't know if I agree with this type of thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I don't even know if that's even really a place that everybody needs to get to, right? In terms of picking one side or the other. And for me, I definitely had some bias, and maybe some of that's bag bias, and I think that's okay to have the human natural reaction initially, but at the same time, when you hear perspectives from people that are close into different camps, they might be a little bit biased as well from each side, but at least you can kind of try to be empathetic. And I think that's where I got a little bit yesterday, because a lot of us don't realize that Casey's background is really like a Bitcoiner, true Bitcoiner kind of first, and he has a lot of pressure right on that side too, as well as satisfying the community that's been built out through the protocol that he's been working on and building on. So he has like two different sides that he's trying to satisfy, is what it seems like, and that must be really hard. And then coming into this new big spotlight of, man, like my influence is much stronger than I originally had or thought. That's a big deal, because you don't everybody handles that differently. So it definitely made me kind of take a little bit of a step back. Like I said, my stance is still strongest on the ordinal side of where the market share is for tokens, but it definitely opened my eyes. Go ahead, Shizzy.
Yeah, in the words of the great poet Kanye West, one man shouldn't have all that power, right? So it's just it's just something we have to think about as the community, and really we're the ones who give him that power. We're the ones who make every single post and article that he posts like relevant. So it's up to us to choose. It's not anything besides that.
You're right, 100%. And he is a great poet. I remember reading his works in high school, just getting through school. But no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, good point there. It is true in that sense of kind of pulling back and saying, hey, well, at the same time, you got to show empathy, I think, but realize that, hey, this is a huge community that's been built out through something that he's been working on, but the community is alive, right? And so with that being said, it can be like messaging is very, very important, and communication is very, very important. So it's probably a lesson he's learning through this process as well. So all right, well, let's go ahead and kind of jump right into it, because I know there's a lot of stuff in the space constantly, every day something new, and it's hard to keep up. But like the people here that I'm seeing right now, I see you guys in these spaces all the time in the community, so I know that you guys are capable of doing it, even if it's hard. But I want to start with Jeffrey, because him and his team have been working super hard on just trying to make the space better and grow and make utility an actual thing and not just a buzzword. And so BRC 420 is something really big that I feel like is going to, change the way that we do everyday life in terms of, ownership of digital property, right? So let's go ahead and pass it over to Jeffrey. Jeff, if you could kind of break down BRC 420, because not everybody understands what it is and how it can be utilized by, creators, artists, and even consumers.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Jacobi. BRC 420 is not a token issue protocol like BRC20 or ORC Cash and stuff. It's actually beautiful metaverse. So that's why we call it the first metaverse protocol in Ordinals. So it has two parts. First part is about the metaverse standard. The second part is about the royalty. I know like most people are interested in the second part, but actually we are making all the efforts in the first part, which is a universal metaverse standard for all the assets. So for example, if you are trying to build a game on Bitmap, like right now when we're talking to all these builders on Bitmap, we have like over 100 projects right now. But all these assets are not necessarily interoperable right now. So if you have these assets on that project, you cannot bring that to another one unless it's just a text or a JPEG. So when we're building this, we're thinking about like why we love Bitmap. The reason we love Bitmap because it's fully decentralized. Like everyone can own a piece. It doesn't have to be Animoca or a Blizzard or Ubisoft or like it doesn't have to be issued by anyone. It's just a thing like we can all own this. So with this kind of standard, we can actually make all the assets and modules that open source and interoperable by everyone, I think. So how we do that? The thing is, we try to build different kind of assets or modules by using the standard, so you can recurse that inscription in the future. So, for example, if I'm building a game that is PvP, like RPG game. Okay, so I build this gameplay that's for my Bitmap pets. So it's like my pets are fighting to each other. It's a game on Bitmap. It's cool. But if in the future somebody else tries to build another game, another RPG game, and he doesn't have to write that gameplay again. He can just recurse my gameplay. So when you have more and more modules in there, that creation, that innovation will come like automatically because all these guys have ideas. They just don't have time and resource to rebuild this. And it actually saves space on Bitcoin. So you don't have to inscribe all that all this stuff and paying lots of gas fees to do so. You can just recurse other modules. So that part is the metaverse standard. And the royalty is pretty simple. Like when you inscribe something meaningful, important for others, or something big like audio, like a video, and people don't want to do that because it costs lots of money, and people don't want their inscription to be recursed by others for free. I mean, you can always do that on ordinals. Like when I was talking to Casey, he said, "Yeah, like everybody can use that for free." Yeah, I know, but we just encourage people by paying royalties to these original creators, so they can have some money back. So with that kind of protocol, that everyone is trying to do something meaningful, trying to inscribe something important for each other. So that's the basic idea of BRC 420. It's a very early start, and like we said before, we are we are building a no-code game maker, game editor in next 2 weeks, and we are also having an open source game engine on chain. So we'll be having more tools, more products in the near future, so everybody can enjoy, can actually try out, and have fun in the metaverse on Ordinals.
Thank you for that breakdown. It's really, I feel like you did a great job just kind of explaining that in a simple way. You know, I think one important thing is to celebrate the, how Bitmap, the standard works and how it's open source and all that stuff. So, with this is BRC 420 is not going to be a protocol if adopted. It's not going to be a protocol that's mandatory, right? So like people can still allow people to use their work without utilizing this I guess way of doing business, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so I think that's very important to beat that drum, to let people know that, hey, you don't have to use this, but you can if you are forming a business model around your efforts that you're putting in to create whether that's art or digital, property or items, right? So, um, with that being said, a lot of the news, I would say like a month and a half ago around the traditional NFT markets was, they were taking away royalties. Does this allow you to actually kind of, is your goal to be able to integrate this as well into marketplaces where individuals can select if they want to offer royalties or not?
I think these are two types of royalties. The royalties in Ethereum and is basically about like when you're trading, you're paying royalties to the project, right? But BRC420 royalty is that for you buying copies of from others. So you're buying the usage rights. So like if I have an audio there, if I'm a singer, I have a sound there, and if you want to use my sound in your metaverse, in your personal space or whatever, you have to buy the copy. Because like that's my intellectual property. But of course, you can just you can just inscribe my song without paying my royalty. But with our indexer, your work will be like labeled as not paying royalty. So that's two types of different royalties. Yeah.
Could there be a possibility of, BRC 420 being utilized for that trading royalty aspect?
Sadly, it cannot. The BRC420 royalties protocol is fully on chain. So when the day you when the day you deploy your inscription, it can only be deployed one time. So that number is written on chain. So we have lots of marketplaces right now are working with us. So when they adopt BRC420 protocol, users can go their place to inscribe as well, but that amount of royalty is written on chain, is fully decentralized. So, but every marketplace's trading royalties are, determined by the marketplace. They can change that like every day, anytime they want. So yeah, I guess that's the answer.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man. If you have a question for Jeffrey and you're not on stage, just raise your hand and we'll get you up here. But yeah, let's get some questions going. Go ahead, Shizzy.
Hey, what's up, Jeffrey? So my question is, so you guys launched your marketplace this week. I'm curious if there was any bugs and how successful was it? Because I know it's probably successful because you guys are always doing amazing things.
Yeah, we don't have a bug this time. So I think for first 2 days, the token, I think the only token we issued, not we issued, like we tested, got a volume of about like 0.1 Bitcoin. So I think it's a good start. But our style is now, trying to like we tell all the people that BRC420 is not like for investment; it's for use. If you want to use that module, you can buy that. You respect others' work, but it's not for to flip it, to buy like lots of them and try to sell them high. Like we never encourage that. We never post that. We never even market the idea of BRC420. Every time people ask me like what to buy, I say buy Bitmap, because Bitmap is the fundamental thing for the metaverse in Ordinals. Yeah, so I think the marketplace is fairly successful this time. It's very smooth. I think the user experience is pretty good. We have some projects here trying to launch an OG pass by using BRC420. One good thing about BRC420, better than the parent-child thing, is like I'm a very like close friend of the founder of Genie Data, right? But when they are doing the Genie Data OG pass, people don't know like how many they are creating, because one parent can have endless child. But for BRC420, when you deploy that on first day, it's like BRC20. You have to say, okay, how many inscriptions, how many children these parents can have. So like when you say like 1,000, people know when it was the 1,000 inscriptions were minted, there will be no more. So I think that's a good thing about like minting OG pass on BRC420. You don't have to inscribe all these things, all these children inscription. You can just like spend $1, deploy your inscription, and then issue like a 10,000, 1 million, 10 million children. And the only fee you pay is $1, and the users mint or inscribe the inscription under that parent. So it's very user friendly.
Awesome. Any other questions for Jeffrey about BRC 420?
Yeah, what's up, guys? Thank you for having me. Shout out to everyone on the mic. I don't really actually have a question. I just want to shout out what he's working on, because I've always dreamt of things that you're talking about right now, bro. Like, and I'm so grateful that we have so many great people in the space right now that are building all this dope shit that we're all gonna end up utilizing. So I just wanted to just come in, man, and just say, keep building, brother. Like, I really love all this shit. I'm grateful to be here. Yeah, keep fucking going, man.
Love it, man. Love it. And you're right, 100%. You know, the ordinal space is full of innovation, right? And it's even kind of trickling outside of ordinals a little bit into other parts of the, Bitcoin ecosystem. And so I think at the end of the day, like, we all want like the Bitcoin ecosystem to grow because it benefits each other, smaller ecosystem within. And I think that's very important, right? So go ahead, ex-CEO. Go ahead.
My man. So, I just want to say, you started talking about Casey, then you moved on to this guy, but what we're seeing really is it's a lot of building, and I just want to give my respect to the builders culture, and I know we have got, Benny in the house, and I've got kind of like first-hand experience, like, yesterday I was preparing to do the Dickbot airdrop, we just dropped to like, I'm not shilling Dickbot, it's a free airdrop. But, Benny helped me, for instance, with indexing, because people literally were inscribing, I want Dickbot. And but then we use those inscriptions now to say, this is proof of humanity. These are not botted accounts. Because the one time I tried, people just sent me their accounts. This bot sent all these accounts like 82,000. I thought it was 82,000 people, but no. So this is more like a way to actually prove humanity. And Benny, man, he worked so hard, man. At 3 a.m., he was sending me this stuff, and stuff like that. So sometimes we don't see the hard work that, the builders, and I'm now talking builders, even Casey, even, people like Raf, who's doing the coding, guys at RCSV, all the builders in the space. Sometimes we don't, guys like Sandy is building Tap Exchange. There's so many builders. We don't see the hard work, man. I don't even know when these guys are sleeping, because next I check, he's on Spaces, he's coding, he's doing all this. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I think we as a community, we just need to respect, and be kind to the builders. Not necessarily bash them, even though I can make fun of Casey and be like, it's time to ignore him and get rid of Caesar or whatever. You know what I mean? But I just think this builders culture that we're seeing, it's hard work, man, and we need to respect these guys. You know what I'm saying? So in closing, I just want to say, phase 2, Dickbot, all the people inscribed at one Dickbot, those are going to be like the OG passes for the next airdrops that we're going to do. So we're literally innovating how to do a fair airdrop, right? Like you have a fair mint. We now have a model that Benny has been working with me on the airdrop. Maybe Benny want to comment on that, but just kudos to all the builders, man. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, 100%, man. I feel like this is the hardest working ecosystem in all of crypto right now, or DeFi. Just in it, a lot of it has to do with just the passion of the builders and kind of where we are with innovation in the space. But yeah, man, like Benny is one of those unique lead developer type of people that will literally go out of his way to help out. If you're just a regular community member and you're stuck on how to mint, for example, whenever he launched Pipe, which is it's similar to the Runes idea. He had his entire Discord community literally downloading the application and minting.
Yeah. Whatever. All right. How you guys doing?
Doing okay, Balrog. Don't ever cut me off again, Laser Eyes, or I'll laser eyes you. I'm just kidding. I'm giving you a hard time. It's early over here. Yeah. So anyhow, as I was saying, yeah. So he's definitely one of those developers that helps out a lot. And so I think he deserves the flowers he gets. One thing I want to get back to is with Jeffrey. I saw your post earlier today. You posted, BRC20s will be a major part of the bitmap ecosystem. Can you kind of elaborate on what you meant by that?
Yeah. Did you? I don't know, like how many of you guys have tried the BRC20 swap?
Yeah, we definitely have. Shizzy and I.
Yeah. So like when you deposit the money, there's like your money doesn't go anywhere. It's not going to a third party account. Like, did you realize that by checking your wallet activities?
What do you mean by that? Like whenever we deposit it from the
Like when you
faucet?
deposit, yeah, like when you deposit, like for example, like a 1 million ordi, right? And it's not sending your inscription to another wallet. It's still sitting in your wallet.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so I think that's something that we love about, because I always love the idea of trustless. So if you ask me to send my money to your wallet, no matter it's a dual sign, it's a multi-sign wallet, or you are some famous guy, like in whatever castle you are living, I don't trust you. So the idea of the BRC20 module is it's kind of trustless. And when a white box comes out, every indexer actually use that white box to to write down what kind of amount you are swapping or whatever. And it's safe, it's trustless, and it's very smooth. So the thing is, the BRC20 module actually can be used for bitmaps for lots of reasons. So like right now, if we are trying to build a game, like we actually have a small team building games on metaverses. We are building on Ethereum, on Solana, on Binance Chain and stuff. But they actually have a game called Bitmap Monopoly, like building for bitmaps. It's a very cool game. I bet everyone will love it. But the thing is, and if you're playing game, it's a win or lose, right? When you lose money, like how can we force a player to send the money to the winning ones? So they have to send money to us first. But we don't want to do that. That's like centralized, gaming platform. So the reason we didn't launch that is because we don't want the game to be centralized, or a centralized custodial by us. But BRC20 module makes this could happen. So we can actually build a Monopoly game or whatever Ponzi game, Formal 3D game on Ordinals. And people can use that module to deposit, and the assets are still sitting in their wallets. So we can actually see, like when Casey said the shitcoin casino, we can actually see hundreds, thousands of shitcoin casinos on BMaps. That would be a great thing to me. Like I'm not a fan of casino, but I guess some DJs will love it.
Yeah, actually, it's funny you say that. DJs will love it, because like in the conversation we had yesterday with CB Spears was, he was saying that they had no idea that BRC20 was going to take off like it did. But I mentioned when Domo literally put those words like, "Don't invest in this. This will be worthless." That like triggered all the DGens to like say, "Oh my God, there's like something behind this," and then like it like took off. And so, yeah, DGens will DGen, right? And I think that we're learning even through ordinals through a protocol that was created, and no one, the creator or none of his close friends or developers thought that a token would ever be deployed on the protocol because of how would you do it, and someone figured it out through JSON code. Degens will degen, right? So I think that's a fact that we realize. Yeah, so appreciate your breakdown. I think that's interesting. So with the concept that you just mentioned with the Monopoly game, so would it be to where you have to deposit into the module before the game starts? Everybody has to kind of like, and then it waits until everybody has deposited. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's like going to a casino. You have to change your money to chips, and you can play all the games, slot machine, blackjack with the chips. And when you go out, you can cash out your chips. But like, who's the dealer? Like, who's the cashier? Like, we don't want to be a centralized cashier for that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that's interesting. We'll see kind of how it all plays out. One thing I will say is that like I've used the swap in testnet, the testnet swap, other than initially porting in the BRC20. After that, everything is pretty lightning fast. I do think that they definitely to more people or more entities. In I know that it's been going. Any updates on your end? And
Yeah, we person is a proof of concept. As a matter of fact, we will update our Gitbook very soon. So, except for Poison, anyone can build on Poison. It's open. It's an open network, and people could know how Poison is working. And we will provide APIs so developer and founders can directly interact with us. And as Benny is right here, we are also working closely with Benny and the rest of tech team here. So we are also in a very good direction to integrate track and maybe pipe, maybe yeah. So I think the token node is like the layer two. Everyone has swap on Poison already. Like can have the experience of we want to first bring more tokens into the is swap, enabling more and more applications. Swap is merely a start, right? So that's why I want to say here is like if you are developer, come reach out to me. We will help you on Poison. And if you are an assets like the BRC 420, we are also seeking that we can partnership and see what we can, how can we build you in, and what we can do together. So yeah, wow, Bob here, great.
yeah, man. I think that's so great to hear. You know, because I think the biggest thing with ZK is that, especially in our space, is that there isn't a ton of developers that know ZK, right? And so, but they want to be a part of it. But the fact that you are opening, you know, the doors and saying, hey, you know, contact us if you want to build on the Bison network is really the ethos of what Ordinals seems to be, right? It's like this, you know, helping your fellow developer. I see you collaborating with Benny already and just being open. So I think this is really great. In terms of like Bison Network, do you see like what is your goal? Is your goal to build out like all these different applications on Bison Network in like a short period of time, or what does that look like?
My goal is 100% not building out all the application by myself at a short period of time, because no one in the world can build out all the application in short period. I just think that's a mission impossible. So take a look at Istio. Vitalik himself is quite a builder, but he doesn't build a lot of things. So we build our swap to show the world that yeah, something could be built and something is built very good, right? You guys have tested out every day. So I do think it's necessary, is the best way to explain to the world that how a zero knowledge works and how a zero knowledge robot change the game here, but is more like an ecosystem. It won't be huge if I am the only builders here. I am the only one who is creating more program, who is creating more things. You are right that a lot of people are encouraged and are eager to build on a zero knowledge zero one, but zero knowledge is not that easy to learn and is not that builder friendly, or let's say like that requires quite a lot of mathematics. If you want to truly understanding, or maybe just you want to apply directly on Bitcoin, that requires a lot of understanding of a very complicated mathematic. But that's also why infrastructure like us is needed, just like infrastructure like .NET to Ethereum. So users don't need to directly, or builders don't need to directly facing any of these hard parts we faced. We are already solved these issues. We modify a lot of code from .NET, so is addressed to Bitcoin. Bitcoin we can use Bitcoin as a data layer, and all the data will settle back to Bitcoin. But eventually, the security level is from Bitcoin, and that's what we are building right now. So it's secure. But once the network is secure, what you build on this network could be very very multiplied. Could be very very diverse. So you could build swap just like us did, and we are currently working closely with the Tap Exchange. And also you can build like stable coin. And I just heard of some gamble games. We have a gamble gaming things that is building right now, and they are called SideBet. It's a choose game bet. So I played the demo. It's quite interesting. So yes, so our goal is definitely not build all the things for ourselves, but we are supporting founders and builders, just like we mentioned about, and we are helping them to get on board and release their product as soon as possible. So we are not merely a product, we are a network that limited product can be built on. That's our vision here.
That's amazing. Yeah. This is, like I said before, amazing times that we're in. I think everybody in here should feel lucky, because we're in this Bitcoin innovation period that is going to not be held back this time, in my opinion. But any questions for Jay Lee? Just get your hands up if you have a question about Bison Labs, Bison Network. If you're a developer out there that's interested in ZK, I would reach out to him and get connected. But if there's no questions for Jay, then okay, go ahead, Kimi.
What's with that 12-day campaign? I actually done 3 days and I didn't have time, but I would love to finish it. So is it still going on? Also, one suggestion: if you can put all that posts in one thread so we can find it, because I wanted to catch it up later, I don't know, say 7th or 8th day, and I couldn't find day number 4 to see what are the tasks. So I've done on my own. I was sending, withdrawing, bridging, and stuff like that, but I lost myself and lost coins. Luckily, it's on testnet. So,
hey Kimi, we actually have that on OrdinalRevolution YouTube. If you go to playlist, we have all the days back to back to back. Me and Yago be walk you through all the way through, and we're actually going to put out day 11 and day 12 soon.
oh, that's great. I will check it out, because it's a learning process, and it's really cool to have a campaign like this. Not just because if there is any reward, but you learn something new and about technology, and gain some confidence when interacting with new stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, and that goes for anybody else that's trying to get caught up with the Bison, 12 Days of Bison. You can just head over to Ordinal Revolution on YouTube and find those videos there. All right, so I do want to move over to Benny because this guy's been doing a ton of stuff, but that's not anything new. You know, with the new pipe protocol that just got launched, and then also kind of you know, working on tap and all these other things. Can you kind of talk about what the past week has been like for you, someone that has been trying to figure things out with like all the news that has been coming in?
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you for having me. Yeah, the past week was mainly about coping with COVID for me, but it's also keeping up with the momentum in the space, which was quite challenging. But that being said, was able to catch up with things, and especially with this rune idea from Casey now, because that caused caused another interest of the space and actually what that guy is doing. Before I'd like to continue there, I would track a little bit back on this BRC20 module thing. I hear a lot about white modules and that it is kind of decentralizing stuff, which I agree, but there's also this black module thing. And my understanding was that if something turns out to be a black module, then actually third-party indexes would need to implement what is actually being algorithmically implemented in such a black module, right? Plus, there is a number of entities or individuals, I don't know exactly who that was, but that vote on what becomes a black module. And I would really like to stress that we have with the TAP protocol a function that's called token off that doesn't require to do all these things, right? So it's basically a knowledge function that enables you to do your stuff aside from what's happening in a TAP token protocol, and in the end, basically issue signed redeem inscriptions that are able with those you are able then to provide tokens. Yeah. I think it's a little bit under the radar and underused, especially since it came out before that whole white and black modules proposal. But anyone interested in trying things out, there is an example app in the Track Discord. It's called, there's a GIB channel where you can try out a sample application that is making use of that. So yeah, going back to this rune thing, there was a lot going on this weekend. And initially, I wanted just to wanted to provide some contribution in terms of maybe figuring an indexing, yeah, based on that sparse information that was there from Casey, yeah, because his initial blog post was relatively cryptic and relatively incomplete, yeah, trying to make sense of it. And after a short while, I basically realized all what this idea was doing was basically define a token, a minute all to yourself, and take care how it's going to get distributed. So I totally didn't like that because I'm myself a fan of the BRC20 idea with fair minting and stuff like that. Then I experimented a little bit further over the days and just then had basically the idea, hey, why don't you just try to contribute in a way that brings KC and BRC20 together, right? So that's what I did. I called it Pipe because Casey likes smoking his pipe so much in his podcasts as a reference to him, and released an initial spec with a simple script to test how deploying and minting would work there. And it's literally the BRC20 mechanics utilizing most or many of the aspects of Rune. In the meanwhile, Casey, he didn't paddle back. He's actually paddling forward, and this claimed that he might invalidate whatever happened to a certain block in terms of his original blog post, and keeps doing basically his idea, and we are basically spinning off from that and going more into the BRC20 direction. But that being said, I didn't expect that at all. Track Discord is flooded, still 3 days, almost 3 days after release. People having a blast. Degens are like, getting out their or download programming IDEs, coding, trying to code around, learn a lot of stuff. Just to deploy and mint tokens. I mean, they are literally having a blast there. It's totally. I'm super happy to see that people are getting back actually to understand how things are actually working. Because what I noticed within the Ordinal space especially over the last 4 months is no offense, but that's how things are working. People are getting trapped by inconvenience, and then they don't actually know what's going on. So in the beginning of Ordinal, it was similar like to the beginning of Pipe, where people were trying out a lot of things, and then suddenly with the emergence of certain wallets and things like that, a lot of this knowledge got lost, right? And I think it's in order to make things work in Bitcoin, you need to have a substrate of people that know enough what's going on and pass that knowledge to other people, because that's actually how Bitcoin works. It's not like Ethereum, Solidity, Web3 development where you just ask Google to get a link to the answer. You have to go to actual people that know stuff, ask for tricks and ideas that they have, right, to solve a specific problem. So it's very social and it's very developer centric. And as long as there is there's a fundament of people, right, that preserve that knowledge, I think this whole entire Rune Pipe idea, Ordinals, will keep spinning momentum over time, and will help people to not getting caught in this streamlining trap, where everything is so streamlined that you actually don't know anymore what you're doing, right? And you know what that means. It means a lot of scamming opportunities, right? You need to know, especially with Bitcoin, that's my opinion, to have a minimum amount of knowledge so you're not getting screwed over. And that's what we're learning live again with Rune, Pipe, what we learned so far on Ordinals. So that's basically sums up what happened in the last week for me. I'm having a blast here, and keep developing, right? Thank you.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. For someone that got introduced to crypto in 2013 through Bitcoin, and then eventually ended up on the EVM chains and then came back, Ordinals has taught me more than I ever could learn about Bitcoin, whether that's the simplicity of how bitmaps works in terms of being created on after each block, to what you just said, jumping into Discord and learning what the opportune is, and stuff like that. We got a couple hands up here. I'm gonna go to Zenheads first, and then we'll get to Bob after that. So go ahead, Zenheads.
Thanks, bro. Your track, I really love what you was just cooking right there, bro. Really, really do. And my only question was, when inscriptions for this data and this information, these tips and tricks, so it's never lost and it's all forever on Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's imprinted somehow on Bitcoin. It's just that the social aspect of things are getting lost, in my opinion. Yeah, when things are getting too streamlined, right? And it's more like about, okay, what are the fundamentals today? What are we doing today? And rather talking about like the fundamentals, like, hey, there's some cool stuff being built, and it works in that way. These are these mechanics, right? That project is doing this, that project is doing that. It falls a little bit into the bitmap category, what we were talking before, like with BRC 420, right, which is epically awesome stuff, right? And I look forward to implement that with Track, right? So but especially with tokens, we are always running into the danger. My opinion, that the social interaction in terms of contents is getting lost, if you know what I mean, right? So so that's basically how I'm looking at things there.
Please inscribe it. That's all I was asking. Just inscribe a little manual every week, a weekly manual from track or something, you know, with the tips and tricks. So, you know, we can always keep up to date and it's never lost. That's all I was asking, bro.
Yeah, that's actually a great idea. Do you know if this .news protocol is still a thing? It was in the beginning. It was quite a thing. Inscribing as like a summary of what happened generally is a superb idea.
You have .bitter as a call. It's your account, and you can reply to your messages if there you have something to update and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember .bitter. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. I will definitely put that on my to-do list. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Let's go.
Awesome. Go ahead, Bob.
Hey everyone, how's everyone doing? Happy to be here. It's a bit early my time, but you know, happy to jump on in the morning and see everyone's still going at it. This is fantastic. I wanted to ask Track about the token auth component. I saw your tweet. It was a couple days ago, but I couldn't remember how token auth actually worked. Was it like an approved transfer from model, kind of like a, you know, ERC20 flow, or, you know, is token auth you can like give someone access to transfer tokens from you, or can you just explain token auth again?
So from a high level, you as an authority, you basically sign a transaction, inscribe that signed transaction, and included in that transaction is basically a token send function. Yeah, there's a token send function embedded, so you can do airdrops with that, for example. And as soon as somebody inscribes that, yeah, it's executed on the TAP protocol. So technically, it works more or less like when you sign a transaction in Bitcoin, but just within ordinals. You know, in Bitcoin you can do that too. You can sign a transaction, get a raw transaction, yeah, issue that raw transaction. It gets executed, and whatever specified there is then happening, right? So that's basically the same principle, but ordinals native. Yeah. So, and that means that you as an authority can do your own indexing with your own stuff that you're doing, and when you're done, you're basically issuing these signed inscriptions. Either you yourself as an authority can inscribe those so that their beneficiaries getting their tokens, right? Or you shift that burden of paying those fees to the beneficiary of the tokens themselves, right? So a classic example would be you have a game, yeah, that manages internally points, yeah, and you want to distribute then those points and convert these into tokens, right? You would just sign that transaction, make it public, yeah, and whoever inscribes that triggers then basically the receival of the tokens, yeah. So and the tokens go then there to the addresses that are defined within that inscription.
Interesting. So it's like a way that you can do airdrops. Is that?
Yeah, airdrop is anyway a feature of the TAP protocol. Yeah, like anyone can do a simple airdrop with all the need for the need of signatures at all. But if you want to apply custom algorithms and basically doing something, yeah, and then based on the result of that, you want to issue tokens, then you would use token auth.
Yeah, I was chatting with Jay Lee yesterday about the challenges with bridging BRC20, and it's really hard because you have to with BRC20 you have to actually inscribe. So bridging in is really easy. You could just say activate a transfer inscription and send the transfer inscription to some destination address. You now transferred your BRC20 into some kind of sovereign rollup or sidechain or layer 2. In the event that you want to get it back out, doing that in a decentralized way is very hard because you have to inscribe in a decentralized way in the sovereign rollup or in the layer 2 or on the sidechain. And decentralized inscription is very challenging. And so I'm wondering if token authority aids in this at all. Like, does it make it easier to bridge, or does it
Yeah.
not really apply here?
It does make it easier, and it always comes down to the level of decentralization that you're looking at, right? So my stance is, as soon as things are trackable, or if there's data on chain that is trackable and can then be recovered through a set of rules, yeah, that's good enough in my opinion. Yeah. Of course, it's not good enough for decentralization maxes, right? Because you still need some indexing, right? That's off chain. But then the index of indexes is the Ord wallet itself, so that's already off chain. So, but to answer your question, yeah, it makes it easier for stuff like bridges, staking, whatever, without the need to expose the algorithms behind that, because everything is trackable now from chain. So there's an example app, this GLB thing, and it works like that. You basically, just a simple example, you basically send in an ordinal with a number of sets, and as soon as you inscribe that, the token authority has its own indexer, reads that from chain, how many sets are being included with that inscription, and returns the exact amount of sets as token. Yeah, so you basically get a number. Let's say you are, I don't know, inscribe a certain inscription with 546 sets in it, yeah, as postage, and you and after inscribing that and sending inscribing it to a certain address, and the token authority registers that and issues then a signed inscription that returns the exact amount of tokens that you previously signaled through the amount of postage you were sending. Yeah. So that's basically, it's a test, right? It's just a test, but that would basically a way of, for example, selling, let's say, an ordinal, right? Or I don't know, to do initial coin offerings. I hate that, but in theory you could do that with that too, right? But the more substantial use case would then be things like swaps, staking, you name it, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for the explanation.
I think it's crazy. Benny was just literally talking about two separate token protocols that he's working on right now, right? Like he was talking about the pipe protocol that works with Opportune, and then just now the tap protocol that works with ordinals, right? So that just goes to show what period we are with innovation within Bitcoin, right? So just be excited. I know sometimes it could be, our emotions can get tied into things because we've some of us have invested right into different things, but at the end of the day, if it's best for Bitcoin and innovation and growth, I think that's the most important thing in it. And even for me, I'll admit that sometimes I have to take a step back and just realize for the best situation for Bitcoin is always the best. So awesome. All right, I'm gonna get to you one and out, but Jay Lee had his hand up first, so go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, so I just want to continue what Bob just started. So as I already working on bridge from Bitcoin to Poison, I try different assets, and I try BRC20, and I try Tap. and I tried pipe. So in the way that pipe is most easy to bridge in and bridge out, because pipe is totally UTXO. So it's pretty standard issue, and we could make this decentralized. Basically, it's saying that you can use the same tag as you bridge in or bridge out Bitcoin. So is you any Bitcoin layer 2 need to have this agricultural or mechanism that allows you to bridge in or bridge out Bitcoin itself. So if you can bridge in and bridge out Bitcoin, you can easily bridge in and bridge out pipe. That's quite a good experience here. And TAG is a little bit more difficult because it's ordinal based, but TAG also has a lot of functions inside functions that we can leverage, and is very, at least it's better than BRC20, I'm gonna say. And BRC20 so far is the hardest part. BRC20 is just a little bit too simple, and I guess when BRC20 is designed, there is no sovereign rollout, there is so many sidechains that we need to consider of. So that's also what modules has come out. But I talked to Domo yesterday too, and Domo's opinion is what units that are working right now is not the final design of the BRC20 modules. So maybe the final design of BRC20 modules can improve this situation. But for now, as a practice result, my thinking is pipe is the most best one for layer 2, and then tap, and BRC20 is just as Bob described. For now, it's quite challenging. It's pretty challenging one. And yeah, good to hear you, Benny. And you sounds better than last time we talked. Good luck with your COVID. I think you are almost there.
Yeah, that's very interesting. You know, obviously, we all knew that there was limitations with BRC20, and we also know sometimes the best tech doesn't win out, right? But at the same time, you know, it's important that developers are able to build, you know, in an environment that is with the least resistance. With that being said, you know, Benny, what are your opinions on adoptability with, you know, since you've worked with all three, obviously, BRC20, TAP, and Pipe? What do you think in terms of how the markets could shift?
Question is, do we want the market to shift other than just building and then see what the markets decide? Because my strong belief is they will all exist. And one having more success than the other, of course, right? It's absolutely wouldn't absolutely surprise me if BRC20 has it's basically its second run where it where its lead is actually manifesting, right? But it doesn't mean that other protocols are not successful in their own way. If we would transfer this shifting idea to, let's say, on EVM chains, right? We would never see competing EVM chains, right? I mean, we have Ethereum, we have Polygon, right, and countless other successful EVM chains that peacefully exist alongside, right, and focus on what they can do best, and then they will be used, and the rest will be handled with bridges. And my strong belief is that this will go in a similar directions, that we will have a ton of bridges that make all these protocols interoperable, yeah, and then people use their bridged assets, right, to do what the targeted protocol is then better suited for, you know. So I mean, nothing. For example, if we stay with Bison, right? So there's no reason why it wouldn't work. That the ZK rollups from Bison, yeah, could be incorporated in the token-off method of TAP, for example. And through these means, you basically have bridging from assets that Bison supports right into the TAP protocol. Can go so far that the BRC20 assets can be bridged, and even from Ethereum, right? I'm personally looking at a bridge from Ethereum to TAP, right? So that will of course bring then the liquidity with it. And I think Unisat is also looking at that. I was seeing some screenshots where they hinted USDT. I'm not sure if that was the fake USDT or bridged USDT, I don't know, but they will be having the exact same idea, right? So I don't think it's rather shifting. It's rather will be rather an evolution, sometimes a revolution. But all these protocols that make sense will find their niche and keep moving on. That's my strong belief.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective, and I think that could definitely very well play out that way. Because if you think about it, like you mentioned on the Ethereum side, many of those protocols started on Ethereum and then kind of branched out into their own identities, whether that's Polygon, Arbitrum, whatever, right? And then they became, strong protocols, in their own right. So we could very well see something similar here. That actually kind of came into my mind a little bit before, but I was just right now, possibly maybe we're going from like these token wars to kind of establishing the corners of the ecosystem, right? Versus just trying to cannibalize each other. So very interesting. I appreciate that, Benny. And I want to get to Bavo and Danny as well with vampires here in a bit, but still kind of going on with this token conversation. Let's go ahead and pass it to 1 in, 2 out. Go ahead.
Thanks for having me up. I guess my question is for track. I appreciate the high output and the solutions that you deliver at such a fast rate. What my question is, you say you're looking for solutions to bridge over from ETH, because I know you have UniV and other tokens. Why not use like current bridges like Block Blend and things of that sort? Why do you have to use one that you kind of built up, or because I thought you had one before, and then I guess you kind of closed it. You bridged some, but then you didn't bridge all. What's wrong with the existing infrastructures that you can't utilize those?
Well, it's simple. There's no tap related bridge. I was just talking about tap related bridge, yeah? To basically allow other assets to be bridged into tap and the other way, yeah? Which simply doesn't exist. That's why I cannot reuse that. That's the point. And I actually don't have the feeling that that in the near future, at least, somebody would pick up on that and do that, and instead of me, for example. Like you, at some point, you have to be the first mover on certain things, and that would be such a first move. Yeah? I hope that answers that question.
Okay, so you're saying basically you don't know how to bridge over the BRC20s, or
I'm basically saying that token off enables bridging between BRC20s and TAP, as long it depends a little how this module system with BRC20 pans out. Nobody knows that, right? So just like Jay said, he was talking with Domo, right? And there is a proposal from Unisat. I simply cannot answer that question yet. Yeah. And you mentioned UNIV, for example. All what I'm doing in the end right now is to come back to UNIV at some point. Yeah. So there is a lot of forward working and then backtracking required, right? So it's not like a straight line in this space that you can walk. You have to literally look left, right, see what's happening there. What are the changes, right? Then there is stuff with Casey happening, right? Then there is this numbering system. Then this emerges and that emerges. it's not easy just to go one straight line here. And I would even argue if you would do that, you would develop right into something that will be obsolete a few weeks later. Yeah. So I really need to see and wait for certain things to consolidate. Yeah. Before I can make certain moves. That's unfortunately the way how this space currently operates.
I got you. And earlier you said BRC 420, you were bullish. I'm excited about it too. It seems revolutionary. It's extremely innovative by giving creators world for adopt.
Is already adoption. I'm more than eager to include that into tracking. So there's another option to provide indexing for that. There will be, of course, more. I know that there is work being done for 3D assets, right? And that makes it very interesting then for 3D based metaverses then to emerge. And a lot of things are coming together here, right? We have already like the initial interest from like bigger entities, and they expect certain things to work, right? And this falls together with sorry. And that basically falls together with a protocol that needs to be BRC 420 that's well thought out and it can be reused by such entities. Right? So, and to me, the trigger is basically the adoption, especially when it comes to the 3D part. Right?
So you guys are actively building, or you're just saying you're willing to embrace or adopt to track all of the BRC 420s?
I didn't have no time to code the indexing yet, but this is definitely on my to-do list. I said that I think last week. Definitely. Like I mean, this is exactly what's required. Of course, it's optionally, yeah, but it's a protocol that works. Yeah, it all comes down to how the final protocol will be. But at least up to the 2D part, perfect. I'm more than eager to support that with track.
Okay, one last question. What's the, I know you were saying different levels of decentralization. What is in regards to rolling out, becoming more decentralized with TAP? What does that look like as far as the indexers being able to self-custody or individuals being able to run their own indexers?
Yeah, that will be, well, it's not, it's basically not a task for the TAP protocol.
Oh, I think we might have lost Benny.
Sorry?
You're good now.
I was cutting off.
Yes. We can't hear you if you're talking.
Yeah, I think he might be rugging right now. But I think what he was trying to get at was that it's more of a task for people that want to create these indexers to reach out to them. Benny, are you back?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, sorry for that. Yeah, what I'm trying to say is with the release of track, there is a decentralized means, but not on-chain means, yeah, to create and distribute all this required ordinals data. Yeah. I said it a couple of months ago. It's going to be actually in an ecosystem, yeah, that's built on a decentralized distribution of all this ordinals data and more potentially. We'll focus on that then developers that build on track can achieve some income stream for themselves. Yeah. So we're not there yet. At the moment, we only have centralized API endpoints that are public. But once the final product is out, you would just then switch to your own endpoint, and then you can continue to use then your own track instance. So, and that supports decentralization. I think we have many moving parts that can add to the grade of decentralization. But perfect decentralization, if you're honest, is an extremely hard task, because you have different ways to view on things like what centralization actually is, right? That can be somebody deciding something, that affects the rest of the network, right? That makes it centralized. It can be certain mechanics within the network that makes it then more centralized, right? In my opinion, you can only have grades of decentralization and just try to work towards the best possible way to decentralize things. And if you're coming from something that is actually technically centralized, which is the Ord wallet index, then it makes total sense to figure then different ways of adding decentralization, based on the outcome from this index, right? And track is basically such a solution for that.
Okay, thank you.
Great conversation. Great answer, Benny. I think sometimes we get we're so used to the buzzword of decentralization that we almost try to drive that into our everyday so hard. But like Benny said, it's really hard to get to that 100% decentralization point, right? And I think the goal is to get there as close as we can, but realizing that when infrastructure is being built out, there's going to be a lot of what seems to be centralization, right? So Bob, I'm curious to what your stance is on what Benny said in terms of maybe some of these token protocols branching off and then building like ecosystems that will exist in the future, whether that's like Tap going with Bison to the Bison network, and then that forming out into like a large part of the Bitcoin ecosystem, or Runes or Pipe, and working out of the op return and then building on top of those. Do you see something similar to where these all can exist, but just within the ecosystem, the overall Bitcoin ecosystem?
Yeah, I think that's if you hear one of my children yelling in the background, I'm currently putting on his socks and shoes. We're all gonna go and run a local city 5K this morning. So just prepping the kids. Yeah, so I think that Runes and Pipe are interesting because they are completely UTXO based, and being fully UTXO based means you have more interoperability with things on the Bitcoin side, like RGB or Lightning, or like we mentioned before, like native capabilities for bridging. BRC20 or Track or Tap, sorry, the Tap protocol. Those are more account-based models, and that's what you'll see on the Ethereum side, all account-based models. And so I think that's the kind of key technical distinction here. And I think that because of that difference, the token models are different enough that they might be able to both exist in different ways. Like, I don't know if you have a Runes or a Pipe protocol that integrates, that's a pure UTXO-based model. You can, yeah, you want a jacket, huh, buddy? Purely being UTXO-based, you have integrations with RGB, integrations with Lightning, just like native bridging feels a little bit easier. So I think that it all comes down to the utility of your token. What ecosystem you're trying to target, and I think there is definitely space for that, especially once you start abstracting things away. Like in the future, users might not even know what they're using, but there might be, I don't know, multiple token standards feels really bad to me, just from like a developer experience perspective, but it could potentially be possible.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that we just haven't really seen that too much in terms of different token standards that build out into different entities. Like for the EVM side, it started with ERC20, or it ended at ERC20, but then that branched out to these other parts, right? But you never know. BRC20 is definitely has this like almost like this non-fungible nature to it. And so maybe it stays within like this ordinal culture of the limited fungibility of it, and then also maybe it's more looked at as actual like value of tokens versus something that you can build protocols on top of, right? But we'll have to kind of see. Time will only tell. Go ahead, Shizzy.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that because like you got it like on Ethereum, you have what, like 5 different types of protocols. I mean, you have layer 2s like Arbitrum, then you have like fake layer 2s like Matic and stuff like that. And they all coexist completely fine. You have to bridge in, bridge out of all of them. And from a user standpoint, you really don't care if it's a layer 2 or something like Tap or Bison or Alex. It doesn't really matter because you're just going to bridge in and you're not understanding the back end, and that's fine because you just want to trade or buy or whatever the next big thing is. So to me, and whether we have 15 different protocols where it's ARC20 or Tap or BRC20, bridge it. And if we can get the bridges to where they're like 1 or 2 blocks, it's really not going to matter too much on how many protocols there is, but except understanding what you're using and where you have to go to get certain things. And potentially in the future we could have everything coexist where you don't know. And that, I think that's what we need to do, because like normal users, they're not going to want to bridge in and out and stuff. They're just going to want to use one platform and not really know what's going on in the back end. They just want to go on and do what they need to do. And whether that's DeFi or putting something in to get API on this one, but then that actually happening on Tap, and then that actually happening on Bison, and that actually happening somewhere else. I think we could get to that point way later. I mean, that I'm talking future, like down the line, but this is a good step in the future. And let's just kind of see who wins. Let's see what develop. I mean, because right now it's all about what the developers are going to be doing, where they want to build that, and if and later we'll decide which one wins by when the users pick which one. So it's really fun to me, and it's very exciting.
Yeah, it's great point, Shizzy. At the end of the day, I agree. The market is going to be dictated on user experience, right? So, Jay, go ahead.
Yeah, so speaking of this, I do think Bison actually wants Bison will play as the role as a layer 2, but also it means it's a middle layer. It means that we can bridge in, just as Shizzy says, we can bridge in all kinds of assets and have a standard functionality, and you can do whatever you do on Bison. You can build swap, you can build lending, you can have a lot of things. You don't need to pay attention to the differences between all the protocols, because we have already dealt mostly of that. So I do think this is something that is going to happen, and this is actually an advantage of layer 2. But also, layer 1 differences exist, and why we need check, why we need Tap, why we need pipe, is because there is still a lot of important improvement can be made on layer 1. So it will also increase security or release the developer time. So it is pretty necessary in my point of view. It is necessary that we need to have several different protocols. So I do think is very important for Boyson to bridge in different protocols so we can have better ecosystem together. But also that's the point. So I am trying to bridge in track tap and also pipe, and I really think once they are bridging, and the user experience will be very, very similar. You don't need to really, you as a user on Boyson, you don't need to pay attention to, okay, this is totally different. This is pipe. This is BRC20. You don't need to have that. You don't even notice that, right? So you just click your button, select pipe or select BRC20 and click swap, as you guys already tried it out. It doesn't matter you are trading BMAT token, you are trading BRC20, or you are trading room. It only matters when you bridge in or bridge out. And as a matter of fact, mostly our computer, our phone is already deal with most.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like an awesome solution to, because at the end of the day, I think everybody here understands that, you know, you guys are coming and bringing developers' perspectives into the conversation. But we all know at the end of the day, it's going to be the user experience and the users that choose what kind of experience they want. And if they can go to a single place and be able to trade, you know, whether that's, you know, pipe, runes, runestone, whatever those tokens on that in the op return, or the ordinal tokens, that, you know, it'll just be seamless. So Ben Schiller, you've had your hand up a little bit, and then I'll go to Moral after. Go ahead, Ben.
Cool. Actually, this was a question for Benny, but I think it works for Jay and Bob, other kind of builders in the space. But Benny kind of started to go down this idea of building in this environment, an environment that's literally changing by the hour, by the day, by the week. I mean, you know, the recaps on what happened in Ordinal this week are pretty mind-boggling right now. So Jay and Bob, didn't realize that I was going to say Jay and Bob, but it's kind of funny. If one of you could be the silent one. What's your perspective in building in this type of environment where obviously you have a particular singular vision, but the reality is that the field is changing on a constant basis. So how do you stick to that and be productive and actually creating output versus kind of taking the inputs of what's happening and adjusting as needed? Thanks.
Jay or Bob, either of you want to take this first? Maybe we'll start with Jay. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So as far as I understand, the question is about how we feel about building on tap, right?
The question was, like, how do you handle being able to build in an environment that's constantly changing, and, you know, how you're able to adapt to that?
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's sorry for the connection is not that good. So the question is pretty it's a good question. And yes, Ordinal ecosystem, or now the Bitcoin ecosystem, is changing constantly. It's changing rapidly. So like basically every week we have new topic, we have new protocol, we have new things that is happening. So how do we build on this is quite easy. We have a very, very strong middle layer. So we have module designs. It's not the same module we're talking about BRC20, but it's Boyson module. And the Boyson module actually allows us to do one thing that most of our code is no need to change, like the swap code, like the transfer code, like the most balanced code. Most of these codes, they have a very standard thing. And actually, I only need to pay attention to the, specifically speaking, I only need to pay attention to 3 or 4 things. First is this layer one transaction transferring some assets, and second is if it's true, is that legal or is not legal, and third is how can I keep this design as is neither trustless or decentralized. So I as the environment is changing like rapidly, the technical environment basically, I didn't pay too much attention about the price is going down or up. It's not really that related to development, but the technical environment is changing. But I only need to pay attention to the to not the whole part. I only need to pay attention to just the specific part I mentioned about, and this needs to thanks to the good design of Boyson Labs. Boyson Labs has very standard, so we can support a new protocol or new design in very short time, and that's how we can get used to this new environment, changing environment. Yeah, so I don't know much about how ICP can handle this, but my guess is ICP actually get better because in ICP, I think Bitcoin funnel is running inside of the internet computer, so the trust is more easier to achieve. But Bob is the expert here, so I will leave to Bob.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, building in a constantly changing environment is obviously challenging as a developer, as an entrepreneur, as a builder, as someone trying to build a stable, functional, awesome product that users want and will use, not just for now, but for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years of this kind of growing ecosystem on Bitcoin. And I think there's a balance here between focusing on like more mature protocols. I would call Ordinals a more mature protocol, even though we still get a new change like every couple of weeks that requires a resync of the entire index. It's still more stable than, I mean, like take Runes, for example. We had like a cryptic blog post that was put out, and he explicitly said, I don't even know if this is a good idea. And now all of a sudden we had a deployer and we had indexers, and we didn't even know what the standard was. In fact, we still don't know. We still don't. Yeah, we still don't know what the standard is. Some people are consolidating around their own standard. Some people are collaborating. And so I think it's a balance of picking protocols or picking technology that you want to build from that is like solves a specific use case that you think will be around for a very long time, and then leveraging that technology in an interesting way. So, I mean, it's also, you just have to always be on. If you're a developer building in the space, especially if you want to build at lightning speed to kind of take advantage of the initial hype and traction of a new protocol, you kind of have to be aware of what everyone is doing. It's like you live on GitHub and Twitter and Discord, and keep up on all the technical developments from everyone in the ecosystem and what everyone's doing, and then you're okay because at least you know how crazy everything is, and you know what people are thinking about. I didn't really answer the question, but those are my thoughts.
No, that was a great answer. Thank you.
Now, practically, you need to know a lot about requirements engineering combined with a lot of experience, especially in this particular case of ordinals, Rune, Pipe, you name it, and understanding how open source ecosystems work, especially in the early phases. So from a requirements engineering perspective, but you cannot really ask the definite actors here, right? What the requirements are. But what you can do is, and what you should do is identifying the actual people or entities that steer certain developments in certain directions, right? And be able to, through analyzing what they're actually doing, what their actions are, and extrapolate basically a future outcome, right? So, and then you would basically need to like laying it over to your own plans, you know, like if it matches with your path, or if it would diverge from your own path, and try to keep in sync somehow, right? So, and then there, for example, like there is a simple thing like open close principle in software engineering, and it basically says be open to upgrades, updates, and close to changes, right? So, and if you define basically the foundation that you want to build on, track is such an example. That is dynamic enough, that is fast enough, that gives you opportunities to quickly quickly react. Then you would prior that choose the best option that is available technically, and not the option that is, I don't know, the most cool thing, because the coolest thing, yeah, can often lead into trouble later. So you really need to lay the foundation of the underlying technology first. So, but then we're coming then into the area, and that's what I'm seeing right now, how especially young open source projects work, which I happen to have a ton of experience. And it's always the same pattern. Successful open source projects, and there are numerous examples, they always tend to cause friction once in a while. Even within Bitcoin, that's the best example of such an open source project, right? So and you actually need to figure what are the risks there, and be able to go, so to say, with the flow. And when it comes to open source projects, there are so many things, especially politically, that can happen that lead to forks, yeah, to direct outright forks, yeah. And then it depends on what side you're acting. So I'm totally opposing forks here. I really like what Casey is doing. I have an absolute understanding where he's coming from as a developer, right? But the ecosystem potentially won't like it. And what I learned is never fight the ecosystem as a developer. You will always lose. This is like a given, right? And what you then would basically do is, if a fork would happen, for example, is well, you can for a while support the different forks, and then find out which ones are basically the most adopted ones, right? So, and these are all these kind of things that you need to take into account, not just the tech side, but also the social side, especially when it comes to open source projects. And that is something that falls in the category, you cannot control what's happening, but you can control how you react to that, right? So, and people who do not understand this, they tend to try to control what's happening, and making it in the end way worse. So, but knowing that as a developer, you have the underlying technology, you just duplicate what you have there, yeah. Basically follow what gets the most adoption, and then you, as hard as it sounds, cut yourself off from the losing fork. Yeah, that's how it is. It's basically similar to when there's a fork chain, right? Are the miners and the node owners following that or not? So that's basically my point of view of that.
Awesome. From a builder in the space, that's great advice from all of you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that was amazing. You know, you just heard from 3 separate builders in the space, so appreciate it, Jay, Benny, and Bob. And you know, you guys deserve a ton of credit for your contributions to, you know, how ordinals have grown. So really appreciate that. Moral, you had your hand up. I don't know if you still had a question or not.
No, it wasn't a question. It was more so like something that I've noticed, like a pattern regarding these conversations recently about, you know, the user that's going to be using, whether it's BRC20 or Ruins, it kind of bounces back and forth, right? And I think as they continue to develop over time, like people are gonna have their favorites, and development might be bigger on the ruin side, but there's still gonna be like legacy users that stick to BRC20s and kind of stick through the grum of things, or the filth, I guess you could say, and develop it further. You know what I mean? Like that's one of the main things that I'm seeing from these conversations, is that people are on the fence regarding both. And I think at the end of the day, they're going to stick to what they enjoy the most. That's just a pattern that I've seen, being a part of like multiple different platforms and seeing how they upgrade or, stay the same, stuff like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I agree. I actually like how I think it's Will from the Block Runner. We love those guys. They do great work. But he always brings up the invisible hand, which is like the market that will dictate which way things will go. And I completely agree with him in that. So, and agree with you, because that's basically what you just stated. So, so really quick question for you. Before I'm going to go to Bavo next. I promise, guys, I'm getting to you guys. But moral from someone that spends a lot of time like in art groups and the art community, what is your perspective, and what do you feel like the art community's perspective is on like all this token talk? Is it something that you guys are kind of like, oh, let's move on, or do you support it because it's a part of the overall Ordinal community?
So I definitely can't speak for everyone in this space. I think from the communities that I am was involved in, there's definitely conversations going on. But I think most of the conversation is really just onboarding more people to the space. And I think we can all agree that having these conversations onboards people. Whether it's more technical people, it still gets the eyes that we need, right? I mean, I think any development at all is good for the space. But from an art perspective only, the community is more so focused on trying to get artists to come over here and build things and create things and experiment with the chain. So that's all I could really say on that matter.
Awesome. And I think that's just as important, right, as all these other things, because you definitely have people that are in the middle. And what you guys are doing, the art community and Ordinals have really onboarded people that are more into DeFi, that came over for DeFi and then started to dabble on the art side. So I think we're just all one big family here at the end of the day. And so I think that should be the focus, right? We're all wanting to make the Bitcoin ecosystem a better place to be. So awesome. All right, man, this has been great conversation. I love it. But I do want to get to Bavo here. They've been waiting patiently on the stage, and then we'll get to Danny with Vampires. Bavo, I know that you guys launched BitPets, and that's a really cool thing, but I don't think a lot of people in the US and Europe know about it. So if you could go into detail about, the project and where you guys are with development with it.
Yeah, happy to talk about it. And hello, everyone. This is Didi from Bavo Project. So it's my first time here. So thanks, Kimi, for the invitation. And thanks, Yagobi and Shizzy, for hosting this wonderful space. So back in the end of July, I was on a call with Jeffrey. So it's my first time. He said, okay, we are gonna release BRC 420 protocol. And after knowing about like what they are going to do on BRC 420 and the metaverse on BTC, so I said that, okay, why don't we just be the first project to build on BRC 420 and the following stuff. So after this, we just choose the PATs as our digital assets, because we think PATs are things that can attract that more people to come to the Ordinal space, because PATs is very personal and PATs is relatable to person. So we think PATs are a good thing, like to attract more traffic to the Ordinal space. So on September the 9th, we released 99 BitPat Season 1, and all inscribed on Block 9 sets, which are the oldest sets in circulation. So after that, we have tried different things on our pads. So forget to mention, we have 5 different animals in our Season 1, which is the dog and the sphinx and owls and lions and unicorns. So we have, as you guys may have seen, we have just tested a bitmap party on the bitmap explorer. So everyone can take, if you have a pet, and you can take your pet to attend like any activities on the bitmap explorer. So we are, after releasing the Season 1, so right now we are trying several different aspects to further explore the utilities of our bitpads. So the first thing is that we are collaborating with some game developers on Ordinal space. So in the future, in the upcoming future, very near future, some of the games will adopted our paths, so you can use your paths like in some of the gaming experiences on Ordinals. So that's definitely one thing. And secondly, we are also trying that to get some 2Ds like to the 3Ds. So we are also collaborating with some project like on Bitmap, which turns our experiences from 2D to 3D. Like for example, we have built our Bravo nightclub on Bitmap Explorer. So this nightclub right now, it is 2D experiences. But like in the future, we will turn that.
Sorry, my bad.
Go ahead, Babo.
Oh, sorry. I mistakenly just shut down the mic. So where I'm at, I'm sorry.
You were talking about the 3D experience.
Oh yeah. So we are actually, so for example, we have a Bravo nightclub on the bitmap. So the next step we are trying to do is that we want to turn this bitmap, turn this a nightclub on bitmap from 2D to 3D. And also we are turning like our pet assets from like 2D to 3D. And in the meanwhile, you can still choose to keep your 2D assets, and we are also will be upgrading like something like to 3D. So these are like 2 different aspects that we are trying to explore on the future utilities of our bitpads. Yeah. So in general, so what we do is that we are really looking forward into the metaverse on BTC. In the future, we are very bullish on that. And in the meanwhile, we want to create something that is pop, that is related to people, that can bring that more people that are not familiar with Ordinals at the beginning, but through our products, through our culture, we can bring them in. So that's pretty much what we are doing right now on the Ordinal space and the bitmap. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for breaking that down. Yeah. You know, the experience of bringing that BitPet into, so for everybody that's wondering what is he talking about with the Bitmap Explorer, it's actually bitmap.rcsv.io, and that's recursive versus Bitmap Explorer. And you can actually pull up your bitmap. It will recognize it, and then you can go in there. And this is the environment that the BitPet can go into, right? And so you can. I do believe that you have to, if you want to have your BitPet in there, you do have to inscribe it first, right? Do you have like a Discord for instructions on how to do that?
Well, yes, absolutely. So it works pretty easy. So it's just like purchasing any digital artifacts. So now you can get a bit pass on Magic Eden, which is shown on our front page. And after that, you don't have to do anything because it is already inscribed on the Bitcoin network. So all you need to do is you go to the Explorer and you enter a land, whichever land it is. You then you can the avatar. You can show your avatars and together with your bitpats. So it's a pretty smooth and easy process. So you don't have to do too much.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So it is pretty cool. I mean, you walk around with your avatar and your bit pet pretty much follows you around, right? So it's a pretty cool experience. And this is just a start, right? Because I feel like, we had a conversation, like I mentioned a couple times before, with someone that's close to like some of these OG developers with ordinals, and they all laughed at bitmap initially, he said, and then now they're like, they can't laugh at it anymore, right? Because it's kind of developed its own merit to where people are building within that bitmap ecosystem, which is separate. So pretty cool. Did you have a question?
Sorry, my bad. No, I accidentally unmic.
Gotcha. Anybody have any questions for Bavo and their BitPet collection?
Yeah, I do got a question. What do you see? What kind of future developments do you have for BitPets, or are you going to roll out something different? And also, what do you guys think about what would be the best protocol you would use if you wanted to airdrop your holders?
Okay, so regarding the first question, as I just mentioned, we are trying several different things. The first is we are collaborating with some of the game studios, game developers that are building on Ordinals. Soon we can use our bitpads on some of the gaming experiences. And secondly, we are turning both our experiences and our assets from 2D to 3D in the future. So that is absolutely one thing we are doing right now. Regarding the second and thirdly, we are actually thinking about like when to release our season 2, because the season 1 is very very limited, like to only 99 bit pass, because for us it is an like purely an experiment. We don't like have too much expectation on releasing this bitmass, because we are the first project that building on BRC 420's metaverse standard. So for us it is pretty experimental, but after releasing, we just found out that the market seems like it so much. So that brings the question for us, like when to release season 2, and what will there be like many more animals like in the season 2. So right now we are also thinking about like when to release the season 2, but we haven't confirmed the date yet. So regarding your second question, I'm not so sure I actually get it. So maybe can you bring it again?
Well, I was just saying, if you were to airdrop, would you use like something like TAP or ORC20? Like, what if you wanted to airdrop like early BitPet users?
Well, yeah, for that, we haven't thinking about that long, because when we doing the season 1, we only have 99 pieces, so it's sold out like very fast, like within our community. And for the season 2, we are absolutely considering like giving like, firstly we will release like I believe it's absolutely it's more than 99, because like 99 is just so to limit it. And secondly, we are absolutely thinking about like doing some airdrops for those people who want the bit pads. While in the market, I think there are different ways to do that, and we will give more details about like details on the whitelist, something like when we confirm the date like to release the season 2. Yes, so we will update it about that.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Great question 1 and 2. And then Bavo, thank you for breaking it down. I'm excited to see what you guys have for season 2. I know that if you guys are collaborating with Jeffrey and Recursive Verse, then you know you guys are in the right spot. So we'll see what happens there. Appreciate you being on stage with us. Danny, okay, let's get to vampires. I want to know your perspective also, because on some of the stuff that we've been talking about in here from a developer's perspective, you've been in the gaming sector before you came over to Web3. So I'm really interested on your perspectives, but also on what's going on with vampires, if you could.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for inviting me. It's been quite interesting to listen to all the amazing people before. I'll just dive into it. We didn't sell, so the vampires in this phase was not the success that we were after, and we took quite some interesting learnings that will help us actually do it better next time. And regarding this, it actually helped us to understand Ordinal's Bitcoin, UTXOs, all the stuff that you guys were talking before. Like you have to do some stuff in order to understand how it works. And it also provided insight regarding what needs to be built, how things need to be built, and what actually people want. And one of the amazing feedbacks that we got was we just didn't have the right strategy regarding the price. Other than that, the feedback I messaged, like, and I spammed a lot of people in that Sunday, like 2 weeks ago, to ask for feedback. The art was amazing. They loved it. They also loved the user experience for minting. And this was one of the things that we were after to the people that would come. An easy way with not too much hassle to actually mint ordinals and see it in their wallets. Having said that, given that we did a fair launch and we wanted to bridge 2 communities, and we will do it in the future, but it takes time to reorganize a bit, the WAM and Zen ecosystems. We are not in any type of pressure to, and we refused actually to do private sales. We had, I think, 2 conversations about it, but we refused to do it. And having done that, it allows us to actually rethink and come back. So there's no pressure on that. We refunded 5 people. There were actually 5 buyers, and they are in the happy position or in happy possession of, I would say, OG vampires that we were looking to actually give utility in the WAM, on the WAM platform. And this is pretty much it. It was an awesome experience, and we're gonna keep building on it because I see a lot of potential with gaming and Bitcoin. And coming to the topic of what you guys were talking about with the protocols and which one wins and which one doesn't, given that I do have the feeling, and it's actually an observation, that this is a still nascent environment with a nascent technology, with a lot of entropy from a lot of people. So you don't know which protocol is going to win and which one is going to be used by people. And it's going to take a bit of while, because in Bitcoin, in comparison to other chains, you have some principles that are stronger. Like you want a decentralized, I don't know, interaction. You want decentralized indexers. You want transparency. You want a lot of things as a Bitcoiner, as a native Bitcoiner. Now, maybe a lot of people that don't adhere to these principles are not that much affected by respecting or not. But in order to get proper adoption from Bitcoiners, these must be followed to the book. So whoever does it better just pushes the ecosystem further. Now it's all normal that groups of people to be biased on one side or the other. I have to admit, I'm not necessarily biased. I do understand the role of immutability, and it's like penal law. You cannot change it and make things worse in the past, right? It only works for the future. But at the same time, when it's about driving innovation and improving existing protocols and how things are done, we're gonna have to rock the boat a bit. So in order to get to the right variant, and I'm all for the UTXO model with as little dependencies as possible from the outside of the chain. And gaming in this respect has a lot of potential, but only if it becomes a lot more dev friendly. I've been in the game space since 2007. We just hosted a game jam earlier this year in June with the WAM community, and we made it on oh god, I'm getting old, I'm forgetting the platform right now, on itch.io. And we had 1,300 participants, out of which about 50 submitted games. And most of the feedback that we got was, it's too hard to integrate Web3. We tried to make it as little as a requirement as possible. And in order to understand why this happens is to understand how the game developers think. In order to make a good game, you need to know a specific type of technology. For instance, what we are talking about is mostly HTML5. And I believe in its future and the power of the browser and whatnot, and it perfectly embeds with Web3 and blockchain. But that's a very specific skill. You need to learn a lot of things to develop the game. Now, adding an extra tech layer to handle transactions, to handle the finance of that game is first causing anxiety, and secondly, people just drop it. We had a lot of developers writing, oh man, I just want a game and I'll put ads, or I'll make a deal where I'll license the game. I don't want any of that stuff. And one of the reasons, or the main reason, is the complexity, the real complexity, but also the perceived complexity. And this is where builders in this ecosystem, and we're pushing towards that, and a lot of you guys are doing it as well, have the mission of making it as simple as possible. Because in order for the technology to be used, it needs to be accepted as a simple and useful tool. So this is my take on what you guys just said. And this was about WAM. We're cooking something under the hood. We're taking a bit of a rest as well. And I'm with my eyes on the space. This week has been crazy. And this is one of the reasons why sometimes the first mover has an advantage, but sometimes the late mover has an advantage. Because at the beginning, if you smash a lot of eggs and you're one of those eggs, you cannot bake the cake. I just made that up, so you can, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's very interesting coming, bringing that perspective from someone that has the experience in the gaming industry. But I also think, me personally, and for whatever that's worth, I don't have a ton, the gaming experience that you do or anybody else that's been in gaming. But it would seem that like the ordinal side of things would be a good environment because of like the freedom of languages to use, and then like with recursion being an approach as well. I'm just curious as to like maybe like the evolution of BRC 420 possibly being like making payments within gaming more seamless possibly, but I don't know, I'm just talking kind of from a very, very high level of what I understand from BRC 420.
One of the things that I'm just going to add a bit here, one of the things that scare most developers is the terminology. If you're in spaces and you're in the ordinal community or in the Bitcoin or an EVM, you have a certain slang. But the game developers have their own slang and their own community and their own problems. And one of the main, I would say, barriers to entry is the perceived complexion of the slang that is being used in the environment. So this is also there's a need for bridging the slang. And one thing that I want to mention about vampires and the stuff that we did. So we did, I would say, 2, 3 innovatory things. One of which was an ad as an ordinal that was a bit of a smart ad based on blocks, and it had different stages of visual animation and messages depending on whether the mint was about to start, it was live, and it ended. And this is fully on chain, JavaScript, and just CSS. One other thing that we saw is, and this needs to be implemented, all the tools need to have this. I'm all for efficiency, is compressing the data that gets saved on the blockchain, especially JavaScript libraries or HTML stuff. The compression can save a lot of sats, and at the same time works better for everybody. The blockchain does not get bloated. And we did the collection, those 5 guys, but they could have been 5,000. It would have worked the same using BRC69. And we wanted to have the parent-child type of provenance, but at the same time doing it, we just saw that this is not even needed. For instance, because when you have a wallet that supports multisig, you as an owner can just co-sign the PSBT, and after everything is paid for and there's the reveal transaction, you can prove on chain without any third-party hacks or let's say structure that the creator of that collection has signed each of those items under that collection. And we just found it to be useful in the case of having like collections of different whatever you guys want, being able to prove the provenance directly on chain. But this is something that we can a lot more smarter people can have better opinions than what we just found out. And yeah, this is what we've learned. We're gonna come back in the community with some stuff in the following weeks because we've seen some opportunities. And actually one of the things that we like is to make it easy for people to understand what was hard to understand for us.
That's awesome, man, and I'm so glad that you guys are sticking around, and you're just figuring out how to help the ecosystem, right? And instead of just kind of saying, okay, well, our launch wasn't as successful as we had hoped, so we're gonna just leave, and so that's awesome. I give you guys props for definitely sticking with the community, because it shows that you do believe in ordinals and the future of ordinals. Go ahead, Shizzy.
Yeah, Danny, what's up, man? So like the thing, I think the only mistake you guys really made was the timing. Timing right now is we're in the depths of the bear market. We're at the bottom of the bottom. There's no liquidity. There's no people that want to like give up their Bitcoin right now. So I think that was probably one of your only problems is just the timing. If you guys do this time next year, or let's just say 6 to 8 months around the halving, then I think you guys are very successful. And I think a lot of projects need to take that into account, because nobody's giving up their Bitcoin right now. Like, you have to be something absolutely amazing right now. Like even for me, I'm holding on to most of it, but I'm playing around here and there. And I just think that this stuff, I think Bitcoin goes up more than most other things, and I think a lot of people have the same mindset. So it's really just the timing, and I think your project is pretty awesome. And you guys working with the Zen team and the DB Zen team, I think all that is absolutely amazing. It's just, I think, just your timing.
Let me tell you what one of the people that I spoke with told me, and I agree with him. You definitely had balls, little brains, but a lot of balls. So, well, this is the outcome.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. It's just the timing is a little tough, but like I said, this time next year, you guys are probably going to strive. So
awesome. We appreciate you, Danny, and we are so happy that you're going to be in the Ordinal community in the future as well.
Where would I go? Like literally, where would I go? Because it makes no sense. UTXOs are fun.
Great point. Great point. All right, so I want to pass it over to Moral. He's going to break down some updates with counterfeit culture. Prism and his team and that whole community is doing great things. So the stage is yours, Moral.
Hey everyone, how are you guys doing today? Firstly, just wanted to quickly mention that regarding onboarding and that conversation that we had earlier, I think counterfeit culture has been doing a phenomenal job at onboarding new artists that are willing to experiment here on Bitcoin. And I think that's one of the biggest things for this space, right? Is getting new eyes, getting the people that want to learn involved in the entirety of the ecosystem. And every week we have a space actually upcoming on Sunday where you can get to know the artist. So it becomes more tight-knit, more heartfelt, because you get to hear their story and you gotta get their impression behind every piece that's released. And that's one of the biggest things, I think, being able to connect with artists and the creators behind each piece. I'm gonna pin up something to the top here so you guys can take a look. We would love to have you to join the space. Again, it's on Sunday. If you have any questions for me regarding like how we function, feel free to just raise your hand up and I'll get to you. But I just wanted to quickly mention that builders are here, people are experimenting, they're exploring all avenues of expression on Bitcoin. And I think that's going to continue to flourish no matter what the conversation is. So, yeah.
yeah, that's awesome, and we are huge fans of what you guys are building over there, and we're actually having Prism on today at 2 p.m. for a discussion to probably be out on Monday or Tuesday, hopefully. We're huge fans of what you guys are doing, man, and just keep building, because it's counterfeit culture is I think it's going to be one of the top notches over here on Bitcoin, and kind of reason why a lot of artists will be coming over here, and a lot of art buyers will be coming over here to buy things. So definitely keep going with that.
Yeah, I fully agree with you that the space is just going to keep on ramping up, right? Investors, art collectors, developers. I mean, we're seeing a spur of everyone kind of come together when these conversations are happening. So I'm definitely excited for the future, and especially the future at Counterfeit.
Yeah,
definitely. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap things up, guys. We just really appreciate everyone listening. We really, really do. I just want to shout out a bunch of people. I mean, the speakers were absolutely amazing today. Jay, Moral, 1 and 2 Out, Track, Recursive, so many others, and we just really appreciate that. And I want to shout out the base community: Bean, Block, Eric, Hype, 1 and 2 Out, Moral. Those guys are really doing amazing things, and Spunk and those guys too. So shout out all those guys, and huge fans of what they're doing. And just want to thank every single person who's been up here, who's listening, who's following us. Because a few weeks ago we were struggling to get 20 people in here. Today we had at one point 115. We just appreciate all the support, and go check out our channel. Ordinal Revolution on YouTube. We're on Apple. We're on Spotify. Go check out Kimi. Kimi puts these together every single week. The dude works his ass off to get us the builders and get us everything in here. Kimi is absolutely amazing. Yago amazing as well. Always the host with the most, man. This guy, he is putting in the energy every single week, and we just appreciate that so much. And I just love the space, and just I say every single week, man, take a look at who's here right now, because these are the people that we have to make sure that when this time next year, we're gonna have a lot of grievers in here, a lot of people just here for the pump and dump, a lot of people who are just the tourists are gonna be here for a little while, and then when the liquidity drains, they're going again. And we don't want those people to succeed as much as we want these people in this room right now to succeed. So just take a look at everyone's around, look to the left, look to the right, and let's stick together. Let's be a family. Let's be a group. Let's be a bunch of entrepreneurs, bunch of enthusiasts. Let's just win, guys. Let's just fucking win. Just appreciate you all. Thank you, guys. Peace.